Welcome to Trading Lounge and the global indices, starting with the S&P 500 here. We're looking at, on this daily chart, of 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then a nice 5-wave move for a third wave. So we're looking for the fourth wave here, and the fourth wave can be 38.2%, so still down here at the 4,300 area here. There are situations in the market where you could put wave 1 up here, and that kind of comes in with the industrial sector, the Dow Jones. Let me just find the ETF here for a moment. So this will be the ETF here, and in this instance here we could look at this as 1 and 2 here and 1 and 2 here. And then moving higher at that point. Is this possible? We've made new highs over here. Is it possible to be an A, B, C and a B wave up here, and we have a bigger C wave down here? Possibly. It's possible, but we're not in a bear market, because when I look at different sectors, just while we're here, just shooting the breeze a little bit, if that's okay. I see markets like this that are traveling sideways in a corrective pattern here, and the consumer side of things as well. This particular move in here is actually corrective here. So even if it was going to be bearish, we'd still need another one up here to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for C of here. But we're looking at this being bullish as well. So I can't see a bearish, a bearish pattern in, and there's other sectors as well, but I won't bore you to death about that. But the materials sector is another one that's quite clear that it's corrective and will go up further as well. So I don't have a problem with the market being bullish, put it that way. There's just probably different ways to counter it. And as I've mentioned, is that this particular move down through here on the S&P and on the NASDAQ, when you're looking at the futures market, is a little bit choppy, and you could look at it as a corrective wave. But when you look at this particular move here on say on the triple Q and some other markets, it's definitely 5 waves down. We'll get to that in a moment, though. That's actually part of something else. So this is pretty clearly, all said and done, is 5 waves at this point, and Apple is the one that's showing us that showed us that quite clearly, and the XLK and the triple Q and so on. So the next step is that this particular move to the upside here, we've been viewing this as an ABC. That's been our primary count based on having 5 waves here. Of course, it can be wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, but now we're actually getting 5 waves in this particular move here, which is becoming quite clear in the triple Q, and that's what we were looking at just a moment ago. So based on that, we'd be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down. Now, if we were going to sort of get more bearish about something after these 5 waves here, then anything under that, then we could look at it being, bearish at that point, a bigger bearish picture. But until that point, then I'm just going to stick with this particular count, and our objective is to trade this third wave down here. We've got a few positions in here. We've been mucking around with it a bit. So, and then we'll look to build in over here as well. But we need stocks to give us that, the big tech stocks to give us that lead on that. So just going into the intraday here on the S&P, this is how we're looking at it here in a nutshell. So wave 3 with an A and a B, and then 5 waves down here for wave 4. So we're in this corrective move at the moment, and the current move up is 3 waves, but we still need to see stocks like, Google's been the main one. So with Google here, just to show you out here, with Google, we needed to look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, it's taken a little while, but we still need to see a bit more upside here to come. So this will be the same for Microsoft, and maybe even Amazon making another high as well. So there are those particular stocks that will take us higher. So I'm thinking that we'll prepare for short trades here, but at the same time, I think we've got something like this to occur first before we go to the downside in most markets. But like I said, we need to prepare for short trades, and in some cases, we've been short up here, and all sorts of things have been going on. So you'll need to protect those ones on the low there at this point too. So let's just go into the this move here. So yeah, I mean, this particular from wave B coming down through to here is a little bit sort of tricky to see. So we've been using the SPY on that. So the SPY here from the B wave is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, and then the third wave, fourth and fifth wave. And this is where we can view this particular move here as being three waves here. So we could have wave 2 sitting in here. The other thing is that we could get something a little bit equal to this size here over here for that. So that's something that we'll need to consider in this little journey, and then we'll come down at that point. So not so easy squeezy at this point. So we just need to wait for that. In the meantime, if this low here is breached, then we'll need to just straight away go short. So that's pretty much the simple plan, really, is just to, as always, we find a level at wherever that may be. This is 45, so that's 5 is important. So we get the first low below the level, and then we look to short at that point. So we're looking for something very simple like this here. But most of the time, the market will come back above the level here, as you know. So it will come back above the level, and then we need to rinse and repeat. But we keep that low, that low, that low in here, and look to short over here on that. So we want the market to prove to us that it's weak, and it needs to take out a previous low, and that's what we're doing. So we would have started from here, and then we're going to be looking for, if this does push up here, which is probably likely, then we'll look for short trades over yonder with that over the next session or two. So that's pretty much where the SPY is on that. And yeah, so another little push up here. So if you've got positions in here, we've got this position and we took some profit down here, and I can't remember exactly what I said with all of this on the Friday, but basically yeah, we'll need to probably push up. So we want to exit this one, and then we're going to put it under here, and then we're going to look for another short over here for this as well. So we could probably use this trend line here as well once the market comes down and finds that as the retested resistance. So you can treat an angle the same as a level. So the market just naturally comes down and bounces and comes through and comes back and checks it and then goes down. And you can do it here. You can do it here. If that move up there is on lower volume, then you can do it there. You've got to watch it sometimes. Sometimes you get a double sort of check of the trend line, so that can obviously catch you out. So just be careful about where you put that stop. You need to keep it a little bit further away at that point. It's just a subtle thing, and work the levels where you put the stop as well. So, but that's the S&P really at this point. And then we can move over to the Nasdaq, and it's the same here as well. Same count to the upside. You could count that down as an ABC. I understand that, but on the XLK and Apple, we were looking at that being 5 waves. So yeah, the same thing up here as well. I mean, I've been looking at it as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave. I mean, it still could be bullish as well. I mean, we can count that being bullish, but because of the rest of the market, we need to go with the consensus of the market. That's always, it's not perfect, but it's quite helpful. And so once again, we can view this little move down through here as 5 waves as well. So it's likely to be bearish at this point. So we're just going to go into the 20K intraday area through here, and this is our ABC to the upside here. You can count this move down here as corrective as well. You could go an A and a B and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I understand that, and we could push up here higher. But the triple Q, just with a little bit of detail here on 5 ticks, so it's quite small. We've been counting down as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2, and 3, 4, 5 for 1, and then the A, the B, and the C wave over here for this. So we want to be looking to short here now that that's sort of pushed up there. This does appear to be an A and a B and a C wave here as well. So yeah, so that's where that is at the moment. But based on that, 5 waves coming down here, which is pretty clear. We've got a nice 3rd wave and the 4th and drop on the 5th, and we'll see how this goes. I mean, yeah, we'll just see. We'll see what happens in the next session with that. But that's what we're looking for here with 5 waves. So I'm thinking that we've got another little push up here for this. So just going to the 20k to 1k here, and just get a bit more data in here so we can have a cleaner look at this here. So yeah, so I mean, we could just drop from here, but you know, it's also possible that we can move up through here as well. I mean, stocks like Nvidia are quite weak, but Microsoft and Google, they can certainly, and Amazon could certainly lift it up a little bit higher here. We'll just see how it moves up, and we'll also see about what angle it moves as well, how if it becomes sort of weak at this point. I mean, all of these moves up here, by the by, if we can just go to, this is the SPX here, we can see that the move up here is on lower volume, so it's corrective. It wasn't increased volume. So that's one thing, and then we can see the same over here as well for the triple Q here. It's got lower volume than the previous move up, so that's corrective. The XLK, same thing as well, and the NDX as well, slightly lower volume than the previous bar. So we're not seeing buyers come in, put it that way. I mean, obviously some people are coming in, of course, expecting to buy the dip, and hey, they could be right, but it's not what the volume's telling me at this particular point in time. So we just need to be a bit more patient with all of this, and I don't know if you want to take money off the table, or I mean, the other indices we talked about taking money off, you know, down here. I don't know what I've said about this particular market, but yeah, you'll need to manage that risk. And yeah, so we go over to the Russell. The Russell's also the same as well. We're looking for a push up into this space. Probably this gap would be a nice little area for that. So we're not ready to short that at the moment. Let me just get the futures over here because that's the ETF. So yeah, I haven't updated this here, and it's a little bit messy, but could I use that as the A, the B? It looks like the right thing, doesn't it? We'll just see how that goes. We still want to be short below here. It looks a bit like an A and a B and a C wave up here, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get up here a little bit, shall we? Be something like that. Anyway, we just need to be a bit patient about it. If it drops below here, then we can short it, obviously. But in the meantime, we'll just wait for it to come to us rather than chase it. So that wave 1 could be there, or we can look at this as wave 1 here, an A and a B and a C, and 3 waves up and down. But I think we've got a good sort of, looking at Google and Microsoft, I think we've got a good, you know, a solid session to the upside. So we may not see this tilt until, you know, late Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so that's just the ETF for the Russell. Then we come over to the DAX. So the DAX is a little bit like the US markets in its sense. So we've got this wave 3 up here with an A, B, C down here. And then we haven't quite taken out this low down here, but, you know, because to confirm this is an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave, we'd need to take out that low. It's come pretty close, but I don't think it's there yet. No, obviously not. But yeah, the chance of it being at 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 is pretty slim because the size of this now is just out of whack. So we will continue to move down with a move down here for wave 4 in line with the other markets with the S&P. So also a wave 2 occurring here for this. So this position here, I don't know what you'd like to do with that, but probably a good idea to ditch that. This is 1, 2, 3 here. It's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there'll probably be a little pull. That's got good support on the 72 now. It'll be something like this here. You may want to hold it depending on what you've done here. I can't remember if we wanted to take some money off the table here as well. But I've extended this down here as 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 to here. I could put this wave 5 over here actually as well and have an A, B, C, D, E here for wave 4, a triangle. But I'm not really feeling the 5 wave. I could get 5 waves to that point and get away with it. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Whichever way you want to dance, you'll still end up with the wave 4 over here for this. So it just depends on what you want to do with this. And I mean, I think you could pretty much get a small position in here, but I'll definitely be watching the S&P and the NASDAQ for the lead on this, you know, on this move. Maybe you're out on that already. If you shorted that on the Friday and you've seen that come back, you'd probably be out, but I'll leave it there for the time being. You do what you need to do with that. And over to the UK market. So it does appear that this needs to make a new high as well at this point, which would give us a better 1, 2, 3, because we're also considering it a wave 4 the other day as well. On this, so let's just go in and have a bit of a look at this. And as I've mentioned before, I don't know if this count is correct, you know, but what I sort of try to do with this is try to, because markets like this can have different counts from, you know, the major other markets, but at the same time on an intraday basis, they kind of tend to sort of move together to a point, you know, but still in their own way creating their count. So is this count correct? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I could get more of a bearish count out of it. I know you could use WXYs. You could do a whole lot of other things, but I'm thinking that we still got to move up and we still got to move down, and then we'll track that 5 waves down here, and we'll see how that plays out at that point. So yeah, if we look at this on the 1000 ticks, so yesterday, Friday when we spoke, I had this as an ABC and in blue, but I've changed it to green, and I'm looking at this as wave 1 up here and 2 here, and all of this is 3 and ABC for 4 here. Sort of a nearly slight sort of overlap on that, so that sort of throws it away a little bit. And then this little move here would anyway, it could count. I mean, I could count, well, I mean, it could get more complicated, but I think this is okay, putting it in line with Google, funny enough, as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 here, so 4 and 5 and 4 and 5, so that could take a good session before that tops out at that point. I don't think it's going to go too far because we're already sort of where we need to be with this at the 75. I just don't think it will find support here. We'll try to get up there but fail at that point, and then we can look at it sort of coming down over this side. So that's where I think that is at the moment, but it still needs to push up higher. Okay, so over to the Australian market, and this is the daily chart here. So this particular pattern here it's kind of what some of the banks are doing in the bigger picture, but it's also part of the materials sector as well. So if I go to the XMJ here, you can see that, well, this move down through here is very much, I mean, I've just got this here as a top here with an A wave and a B wave up here because it's in 3 waves. And then it leaves all of this over here. So I'm just wondering if I've got this as an A. I mean, I'm wondering if I've got a bigger triangle here as the A wave, the B wave, the C wave, the D wave, and the E wave here. You know, something like that, something maintaining, you know, some type of sideways correction. I mean, because it took out the top over here and we've got 3 waves up here, it's pretty clear to me this is 1 and 2. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here, so it's a nice impulse wave here. So it does make a nice B wave taking out the top here. So it can be an expanded flat where have an A wave, a B wave up here, and then it takes out. Let me just move a few things around so I can get to things. So it could be ones and twos down here and drop down into this space here. I do think it's coming down anyway, but how far, could it be an A and a B and a C wave down here and be done with it as an expanded flat, but otherwise we'll get some sort of triangle in here. But it's not looking bullish at this particular point in time. And obviously, the China story, and Xi never turned up for the G7, so he's sort of still sulking in the corner and things are not looking good for him. So once he finishes crying, I'm sure he'll come out and play with the other kids. But in the meantime, we'll just end up in this particular triangle pattern here. As I mentioned, the terms of trade are quite good for Australia, except for the Australian dollar is doing something that it hasn't really done before in terms of trade being strong and the Australian dollar really being weak, and in fact it's moving down pretty much in line with China's currency as well. They're both in the same trend and got the same turning points and those sorts of things. So we could see a much weaker Australian dollar in all of this as well. So keep some spondoolies in a US account, US dollar account, even PayPal, get away with it that way. Or USDT. I do both of them actually. So and euros. So you've got euros and and USDT and US dollars and Aussies. So anyway, enough waffling. Sorry about that. But just to point out, this particular pattern here is like that. So will we be doing much the same as the other markets, the S&P 500, of actually having 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 down here for this? That's what I'm thinking, and we'll climb in a different way. This is what I'm thinking. This is kind of also in line with the US markets as well. If I can just take a left turn here for a moment, this pattern here, the metals and mining here, the XME sector here, is pretty much the same. Now I don't have all of this worked out, but I can pretty much assure you we've got some sort of A, B, C, D, D, E here for this, yeah, so that's that, we may even have another little push up here for this. I don't know, because it's working in lots of threes, it can kind of do those sorts of things. So we'll just see. But it's not ready. But the main takeaway about this, even though it's doom and gloomy out there for this particular sector, this is half of Australia really. So this move across here is corrective, right? So it's not all doom and gloom. This is bullish corrective, this move here. It's just that it hasn't finished over here. And this is how I see, Australia as well. So we just got to, there'll come a time where we can buy BHP and Rio. It's just not there yet. You're better off on the Woodside side of things. At the moment. So yeah, anyway, that's that. And so this will be this here in its own little way, So all of this is really quite sort of complicated, as in the XME and the material sector XMJ and so on and so on. It's kind of, and this one here could be a triangle within a triangle pattern. That's why I've got a kind of a few different counts here, but yeah, we're still on the same track of moving down here. That's been our sort of theme on things. So I'm just going to cut through because I've done a fair bit of chin wagging on the, I'm going to go straight to 100 here. So we're just really drilling into that move coming down here. So let me just get some. So I also wanted to this is a little bit sort of complicated to understand here. So I just want to go back to the XJO here, and this is the ASX 200, of course, and this is a 1 hour chart here. And what I wanted to sort of show here a little bit is that when I look at this market here, I can see that this would be wave 1 here with 2 here and a nice third wave down here, yeah, and a fourth wave here and a fifth wave. So currently here, I think that here that we've either got this as a big third wave here. So in this, for the XJO here, we could have a little fourth and a fifth here, and then have a bounce here and do this kind of thing, you know, before going down further. But on the other market, on the CFD, that appears to have 5 waves down here, and I've already had to stretch it down further because I already had 5 down. So I'm looking at this as 1 and 2 here, but on the XJO, where the XJO is telling me that this is the third wave down here and this is the fourth wave here. So yeah, I mean, I've stretched it out as 1 and 2, and I've got 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel like I've accounted for everything in here. Now I'm sort of stretching this out, but this will be a bit like the you know, the FTSE, for example. So when you look at the FTSE here, if you can't follow the count, there's a different count. This one's going to give us 5 waves up here: 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the third, fourth, and fifth wave over here. So the Australian market's not going to be far off this type of thing here in its little pattern, but it's same but different. So this one here, moving up off the low here, this looks like a fourth wave here, doesn't it? And a third wave coming through here. So this looks like wave 1 and 2 at this point. So we could just copy this here as 1. That looks like 3. It doesn't even look like we got to the top there just yet. So I'll just copy this here. And let me just grab a couple of these little guys here. I just don't think we're sort of there yet, really. I mean, with this impulse wave. There is another way I want to look at this and talk about as well. So this A wave up here. So because I can see here, just look, see that little move in here, that's 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's kind of the center. And then I've got this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for this third wave. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I could change it a bit. I could put this wave 1 here, but then it just throws all of that out as a bit short. So this is probably about it here. So I'll just finish this off. So we'll get 3, and then we'll see 4 come across here. So it'll be a bit of a stick in the mud a bit, and then wave 5 up here. Now we could actually come down from this point because I was sort of thinking in another way that this move here makes a nice B wave here. So I could go some sort of A, B, and C here. We'll see. We'll have to pick it up tomorrow and see. But if tomorrow, you know, we get, I don't think there's enough time. I think we just have to go higher. So I'm just going to clear that out there and clear that out here. I think this B wave that I've got here, I don't think it needs to be that big. So it just needs to be sort of just a whole lot of confusion here, really, and then push up at that point, you know. It doesn't have to go that high as well. There's a lot of supply in here as well, so it could be just something like this. But anyway, I think that we just need a little bit of patience with all of this. I'll just move this out of the way. And the FTSE's got a top, and Google's got a top, and all of those sort of things. So, yeah. So I'll just leave it like that for the moment. But it'll be something like that. You might need to ditch this one here if you haven't already. So I'm going to, I'm just going to borrow it, really put it down here so you can exit that before it turns into a loss, and you may have taken something out of it. But I want to keep these other ones over here because I want to build into that over here. I want to, with this third, we have to catch this third wave coming down. Okay, that's the game that we want. Alrighty, I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.